Let me tell you about a woman who became a legend. But not in the way you'd expect. No royal bloodline, no prophetic calling, no army behind her. Just a tent peg, a hammer, and a choice that changed everything. Her name was Jael. This is ancient Israel, around 1200 BC, a time when judges ruled instead of kings, when tribal unity hung by threads, when enemies pressed in from every side. And for 20 years, Israel had been crushed under the iron fist of Jabin, king of Canaan. His general was a man named Sisera. The name alone struck fear. Sisera commanded 900 chariots of iron. In a world of bronze swords and wooden spears, these were tanks, unstoppable machines that mowed down infantry like grain before a scythe. For 2 decades, Israel suffered under brutal oppression. Villages burned, trade routes controlled, harvests seized, children growing up knowing nothing but subjugation. Israel cried out to God. The answer came through a prophetess named Deborah. She sat under a palm tree between Ramah and Bethel, settling disputes, speaking wisdom, carrying the weight of a people who had forgotten how to fight. God gave her a message for a commander named Barak.
Take 10,000 men to Mount Tabor. I will draw Sisera and his chariots to the Kishon River, and I will give him into your hands.
A promise of victory. But Barak hesitated. If you go with me, I will go. But if you don't, I won't. Deborah agreed, but she added something. A prophecy that must have sounded strange.
Because of the way you are going about this, the honor will not be yours. The Lord will hand Sisera over to a woman.
Everyone probably assumed she meant herself, but no one knew which woman God had in mind. Certainly not Jael. She wasn't a warrior. She wasn't even an Israelite. She was a Kenite, a nomadic people, tent dwellers, metal workers, descendants of Moses' father-in-law. They lived on the margins, surviving through neutrality and strategic alliances. Jael's husband, Heber, had separated from the other Kenites. He'd pitched his tent near Kadesh, deep in territory controlled by Jabin. The Kenites had a peace treaty with Jabin. This is crucial. Jael wasn't Israel's ally. By treaty and proximity, she was the enemy's ally. Or at least, she was supposed to be. Now picture the day everything changed. Mount Tabor. 10,000 Israelite soldiers stand at the summit, gripping weapons they haven't used in 20 years. Below them, the valley rumbles. 900 iron chariots. The sun glints off metal. Sisera's army, vast and terrifying, arrayed for slaughter. And then, God moves. A storm. The Kishon River, normally a trickle, becomes a raging torrent. Rain pounds the valley floor. The chariots, Israel's nightmare, become death traps. Iron wheels sink deep. Horses panic. Barak's men pour down the mountain like a flood. The slaughter is complete. Not one of Sisera's soldiers survives, except Sisera. He abandons his chariot, abandons his army, and runs, on foot, alone. The mighty general is reduced to a desperate fugitive, fleeing for his life. And he runs toward the one place he thinks is safe, the tent of Heber the Kenite, his ally. Sisera arrives exhausted, terrified, looking over his shoulder. Jael comes out to meet him. Scripture is specific. She went out to greet him, not her husband, him.
Come, my lord, come right in. Don't be afraid.
She opens her tent to him, offers refuge. He enters, and his relief must have been overwhelming. He's made it. He's in allied territory. He's safe. He asks for water. She gives him milk instead. A gesture of exceptional hospitality, something soothing, filling. Ancient Near Eastern custom was sacred about this. When you offered refuge in your tent, you were bound by honor to protect them. Sisera knew this. He felt secure enough to give orders.
Stand in the doorway. If someone comes and asks, "Is anyone in there?" say no.
She agrees. He lies down, exhausted from battle, from flight, from terror. She covers him with a blanket, and he falls asleep, completely trusting. This is the moment where everything hangs in the balance. Jael stands in her own tent, looking down at the sleeping general, the man responsible for 20 years of Israel's suffering, the commander of 900 iron chariots, the instrument of oppression. And he's vulnerable. She could do nothing. Honor the treaty, let him rest and escape. Her husband had made peace with Jabin, but Jael makes a different choice. She picks up a tent peg. In her world, women set up and took down the tents. They knew how to drive pegs into hard ground with precision and force. This was her tool, her domain, her expertise. She picks up a hammer, and she goes to where Sisera lies sleeping. Scripture doesn't soften what happens next. She drives the tent peg through his temple, into the ground beneath. He dies instantly. When Barak arrives, still pursuing Sisera, Jael meets him at the entrance.
Come, I will show you the man you're looking for.
She leads him inside, and there lies Sisera, dead, by a woman's hand, just as Deborah prophesied. The honor didn't go to Barak, it went to Jael. The next chapter is a victory song. Deborah and Barak sing it together, one of the oldest poems in the Hebrew Bible, and in it, they celebrate Jael. Most blessed of women be Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, most blessed of tent-dwelling women. More blessed than all others, because she saw the moment and seized it. She wasn't Israel's ally by birth. She wasn't bound by covenant. She wasn't supposed to be the hero. But when the moment came, she chose. Not out of treaty obligation, not out of national loyalty, but out of recognition. Recognition that Sisera represented brutal oppression, that his survival meant continued suffering, that neutrality in that moment was complicity. She chose a side, and she used what she had. Not a sword, not a spear, not military training. A tent peg, the tool of her daily life. Here's what echoes across the centuries. Jael saw something clearly. She saw that sometimes you can't be neutral. Sometimes the safe choice is the wrong choice. Sometimes the comfortable path is the cowardly path. Sometimes you're called to act with what you have, where you are, in the moment you're given. She wasn't a soldier, but she became a warrior. She wasn't a prophet, but she fulfilled prophecy. She wasn't Israel, but she delivered Israel. And the question that remains is this: what tent pegs are you holding? What ordinary tools has life placed in your hands? What moment is standing in front of you, asking for courage you're not sure you possess? Maybe you're not the obvious hero. Maybe you don't have the credentials. Maybe you're not even part of the in-group. But maybe that's not what matters. Jael's story says that ordinary people, using ordinary tools in extraordinary moments, can change history. That God's deliverance doesn't always come through expected channels. That a woman with a tent peg can accomplish what an army cannot. She didn't wait for someone more qualified. She didn't defer to the men. She didn't second-guess her clarity. She saw what needed to be done, and she did it. Scripture tells us Israel had peace for 40 years. 40 years of rest after 20 years of oppression. Because one woman made a choice. Her name was Jael, and she was declared most blessed among women. Not because she was perfect, not because the choice was easy, but because when it mattered, when history pivoted on a moment, she acted. With a tent peg, with courage, with devastating precision. If this story stayed with you, if something in it felt familiar, you don't have to face it alone. Below this video, you'll find a few carefully chosen resources that align with the heart of this story. Not quick fixes, not empty motivation, just thoughtful material meant to help you reflect clearly and move forward with purpose. Explore them if you feel led. Ignore them if you don't. Either way, thank you for spending this time with us.